People spend thousands of dollars on degree, but never on a book about personal finance. We trust our banks, yet never read what's written in the fine print. We spend 40 years of our lives trading time for money, but never learn how to make money buy us back our time. That is the real price of ignorance. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man called Enoch. He worked at a reputable firm, smart and consistent. Every month, he would get his salary and he would run out before the end of the month. He wasn't wasteful. He just never tracked where his money went. Bills, food, family support, then it's gone. Then one day, an emergency hit him hard. His mother fell sick, and Enoch realized he had no savings, no plan, no safety net. That day, he broke down crying, not just because he was broke, but because he realized he didn't even understand how he got there. That's when he promised himself something. I may not be rich today, but I will never be financially blind again. That's where it begins, with a decision to stop being financially blind. Because ignorance isn't just expensive, it's generational. When you don't understand money, your children pay for it too. But when you learn, they benefit from your literacy forever. Every community that has risen from poverty did so through education. Not just classroom education, but financial education. Financial literacy isn't about greed. It's about freedom. It's about control. It's about dignity. When you know how to manage your money, you stop living in fear and you start living with clarity. And that is the beginning of transformation. There is something strange about our education system. We learn how to solve equations we will never use, how to name rivers we will never visit, how to write essays about topics we don't care about. But no one teaches us the one subject that runs through every part of our life. That's money. No one tells you what interest really means. No one explains taxes, inflation, or how to build credits. We are told to get a job, not to build assets. We are told to save money, but never taught how to make it grow. It's what I call the silent curriculum, the lessons that school never teaches. But life punishes you for not knowing. The truth is, the system was designed during the industrial age. It wasn't made to create investors or innovators. It was made to produce workers, discipline, obedience, and replace them. You were never trained to own capital. You were trained to serve it. And unless you re-educate yourself, you remain stuck in that system, trading more hours for less value, believing wealth is luck, and watching others create freedom while you wait for your salary. But here is what the world's wealthy understand. Financial literacy isn't taught, it's chosen. It's not a school subject, it's a self-subject. When you decide to study money the way others study medicine or law, you begin to see life differently. Suddenly, you don't see a salary, you see cash flow. You don't see expenses, you see investment decisions. You don't see your salary as your limit, you see it as your seed. And when your perspective changes, your reality follows. Every generation that breaks the poverty cycle does so through financial education. Look at the global examples. Young people are rewriting their stories by learning about money online, joining communities, attending financial literacy summits, and building side hustles that grow into enterprises. The new wealth revolution isn't happening in boardrooms. It's happening in living rooms, in bedrooms, in the minds of people who decide to learn. Because the new classroom is the internet, the new degree is self-education, and the new diploma is discipline. When you teach yourself what school didn't, you unlock what others can't. That's the power of financial literacy. That's the freedom that comes from awareness. There comes a moment in everyone's life, a quiet, almost invincible turning point, when you realize that money isn't just the goal, but rather understanding it. Maybe it's when after a job loss. Maybe it's when you see your parents retire with nothing to show. Maybe it's when you wake up one day, look at your bank account, and whisper to yourself, something has to change. That's the awakening. It's not about shame or guilt. It's about clarity. You finally see the truth that financial struggle isn't just a lack of money. It's a lack of financial awareness. Here is what they never tell you. Money is emotional. It's deeply tied to how you see yourself, your fears, your values, your sense of control. If you grew up hearing that money is evil, you spend your whole life pushing it away. If you grew up in a home where bills were a battlefield. You subconsciously fear money or the lack of it. But if you grew up seeing money as a tool, not a trap, you'll understand to build freedom. Financial literacy starts when you heal from that. When you stop seeing money as a monster and start seeing it as a mirror, reflecting your habits, your priorities, your growth. So what does awakening look like? It's when you begin asking different questions. Instead of how much can I buy, you ask how much can I keep? Instead of how can I earn more, you ask how can I make what I earn work for me? That shift from consumer to controller is where literacy begins. In a moment, you realize wealth is not about having money, it's about having options. It's the power to say no to what doesn't serve you, to invest in what matters, to protect your peace. And once you taste that feeling, you can never go back to financial blindness. This awakening isn't loud. It doesn't happen in a seminar. It happens quietly in your heart, your thoughts, and your habits. And from there, everything begins to change. So now you are awake. You've seen the truths. You understand that the only difference between those who struggle, those who thrive, is knowledge. The next step is to build it. Here is where most people stop. They say, I want to learn, but they never start. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect teacher, the perfect course. But the truth is, your education begins the day you decide it does. There are 4 major tools of financial literacy. Master these, and you'll never be broke, mentally or financially again. Tool number 1, books, which I call the silent mentors. The average millionaire reads numerous books a year, not because they have time, but because they lack time. Books are like silent mentors. They whisper wisdom from people who have already walked the path you are about to take. You can start with the classics, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, to change your mindset about work and wealth. You can also read The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley to learn how quiet wealth behaves. You can also read Your Money or Your Life by Vicky Robin to understand the emotional side of money. The Richest Man in Babylon, which talks about timeless lessons on discipline and saving. You can also read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill to shift your mindset about money. And not just read, reflect. After every chapter, ask yourself, how can I apply this in my life? The person who reads but doesn't act remains in theory, but the one who reads and applies rewrites their destiny. Tool number 2, online courses, which I call the digital revolution. In the past, you needed access to elite universities to learn finance. Today, you can sit in your room, open your phone, and take the same investment course millionaires once paid thousands for. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy, Khan Academy, and YouTube have broken the gates. Now knowledge belongs to anyone willing to click play. But here's the secret. Don't just consume, but rather complete. Most people start courses but never finish. The discipline of completion separates the dreamers from the doers. Every online course you finish adds another tool to your arsenal. Budgeting, investing, real estate, crypto, or personal development. You don't need to learn everything, just enough to make smarter decisions than you did previously. Because every new skill you learn reduces your financial risks and multiply your opportunities. Tool number 3, mentors and communities. Now, behind every financial wise person, there is someone they listen to, or they watch, or they learn from. You need mentors. They don't have to know you personally. They can be artists, YouTubers, or financial coaches whose content inspires action. And that is why you need to subscribe to this channel, because we offer content that grows your financial literacy. Mentorship isn't just about guidance, it's about environment. You can't go in a space where money is mocked, where every decision is about consumption, and no one talks about creation. So find your tribe. People who talk about investment, not just expenses. People who challenge your financial comfort zone. People who make saving and building sound exciting, because what you hear often becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you live. Tool number 4, practice, which I call the real classroom. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, and attend every seminar. But if you never practice, you will never grow. Financial literacy isn't knowledge, it's applied wisdom. Start small. Track your expenses daily. Save 10% before spending. Invest, even if it's small. Learn the power of compound interest. Create an emergency fund that buys you peace of mind. Don't wait until you are rich to act rich. Start acting like a manager of your wealth, even with a little. Because how you treat $100 today is the same way you will treat $10,000 tomorrow. Practice is what turns information into transformation. It's what makes financial literacy more than theory. It makes it a lifestyle. Every lesson, every book, every small financial win is a seed. And just like seeds, they don't grow overnight. But given time, discipline, and consistency, you look back one day and realize your mind has multiplied your money. You won't just be financially better, you will be mentally free, because true wealth is not what you have, it's what you understand. Now, money is not just paper, it's a reflection of your mindsets, your habits, your fears, and your discipline. Most people think wealth starts in the wallet. No, it doesn't. It starts in the mind. If you see money as something that controls you, you will always be under its power. But if you see money as a tool, you will learn to control it. Think of two people earning the same income. One earns every month in debt. The other invests, saves, and grows. What separates them? Not luck, not salary, but psychology. The first person is emotionally reactive with money. They spend to feel good. They buy to impress. They chase validation. But the second person is emotionally aware. They know the difference between a want and a need. They know money isn't an emotion, it's a decision. Most of our financial problems are not money problems. They are mindset problems. If you fear losing money, you will never risk investing. If you fear judgment, you will spend to look successful. If you fear failure, you will never start. But when you become aware of those fears, you break free from them. Financial literacy without emotional literacy is like trying to drive with your eyes closed. You may move, but you will eventually crash. Start by observing your financial emotions. When you get paid, what do you feel? When you spend, what are you chasing? Satisfaction or significance? When you save, do you feel peace or guilt? Awareness creates mastery. Once you know your patterns, you can rewrite them. And here is the key truth. You cannot out-earn your mindset. You can triple your income and still feel broke. If your habits don't evolve with your earnings, you can win the lottery and lose it all if your financial behavior remains the same. Because money magnifies who you are. It doesn't change you. It reveals you. That's why real financial freedom starts inside. It starts with humility, the courage to admit what you don't know. It starts with discipline, the ability to do what's right, not what's easy. And it starts with vision, the belief that your financial story can change. So before you learn how to multiply money, learn how to manage yourself. Because if your emotions control your wallet, you will always stay broke, no matter how much you earn. But when your wisdom controls your wallet, you will always build, no matter how little you start with. There is a truth we often forget in the rush of life. Money dies with you, but wisdom lives beyond you. Your financial literacy isn't just about how much you make. It's about what you teach with the life you live. If you are listening right now, you're part of a generation standing between two worlds. The one we were born into and the one we are building. The old world taught us to chase jobs. The new world teaches us to chase knowledge. The old world told us to work for money. The new world reminds us that money should work for us. But there's something deeper, something that the numbers alone can never measure. What if your children, your community, or the people who will never even know your name benefit from the wisdom you build today? What if your financial literacy becomes the seed that breaks generational ignorance? Because here's the truth. Wealth that is not understood is easily destroyed. But literacy, true literacy, creates wealth that outlives you. Maybe you weren't taught about money. Maybe you grew up hearing money is evil. Rich people are greedy. Just work hard and life will sort itself out. But now you know better. Now you see clearer. Money is not the enemy, but rather it's ignorance. And when you choose to educate yourself, to read that book, to attend that seminar, to listen, to learn, to teach others, you are breaking a chain that has lasted for generations. You are rewriting your family's financial story. That's not just wealth, that's legacy. So build with intention, save with purpose, invest with courage, give with compassion, because one day someone will look back at your life and say they were the one who changed everything. Maybe they don't know your struggles. Maybe they don't know how many times you almost gave up, but they will feel the impact in the opportunities they have, the wisdom they inherit, and the freedom they enjoy. And when that day comes, it won't matter how expensive your car was or how big your house became, but what will matter is that you used your mind to build something meaningful. Because the true measure of your net worth is not just the balance in your account, but the difference you make in others' lives. So wherever you are right now, whether you are earning your first salary, starting a side hustle, or rebuilding from scratch, remember this: you don't need to be born rich to become wealthy. You just need to be financially awake. Because once you understand money, you can teach it, you can multiply it, you can fool yourself and others. So keep learning, keep reading, keep showing up for your own financial good, because your financial literacy is your freedom, it's your power, it's your net worth. And one day, when someone asks how you built your life, you will smile and say, I didn't just chase money, I learned how money works. And when I did, it began working for me. That is why I always say, your financial literacy is your net worth. Because when your mind grows, everything else follows. If you've loved this video, kindly subscribe, comment, and share for others to be blessed.